Hello everyone, today we will know about the chromosome. So in this video we will know about what are the different types of the chromosome that are present and what is the role of the chromosome in the organisms. So before going to the chromosome we should know something about the chromatin. So you have already heard the term chromosome. You have already heard the term chromatin and the DNA. So what are the difference between this chromosome, chromatin in the DNA? So now get into this. So in the cell cycle, let's suppose this is the cell cycle. So in the cell cycle there are the different types of the phases are present. So the first stage is called as the gap 1 phase, or it is also called as the G1 phase. So that means, and before that another stage is called as the G0 or the quiescent stage. So that means if any cell, if it wants to go for the division, then it transfers from the G0 to the G1. If it doesn't want to divide, then it remains in the G0. So that's why the G0 is called as the quiescent stage. So now if the cell wants to divide, then it left the G0, then it transfers to the G1 and the gap 1. Then after the gap 1 there is a phase is called as the S phase. S for synthesis. So what is the synthesis, or why the name is called as the S phase or the synthesis phase? Because here the what does the it synthesize? It synthesizes the DNA. So that's why it is called as the S phase. So after the S phase, another phase is called as the gap 2 or G2 phase, and after that, that is the main phase, that is called as the main phase or the M phase, or it is called as the mitosis or the meiosis phase, because in this phase actually the cell division occurs. So the gap 1 S phase, gap 2 is called as the interphase, and this is called as the M phase is called as the division phase. So what is the difference between the interphase and the division phase? Because in the interphase or during the interphase, the cell already prepares for the division, but in the interphase there is no division in the cell. The cell divides only in this M phase, but in the interphase it prepares for the division. So that's why it is called the interphase. Okay, so now come to the term the chromosome, chromatin and the DNA. So what is the DNA? So DNA, simply imagine a thread of simply you can imagine like the thread is like this. So if this thread it coiled together one and more, and now it forms the structure like this, and this is called as the chromatin. Okay, so in the chromatin at the middle it is called as the centromere. So that means our centromere, it is also called as the primary constriction that divides these two arms. This is the one arm, this is the another arm, and this is called as the chromatin. So that means in the gap 1 the structure of chromosome, it looks like this, and this is called as the chromatin. Okay, so that means what is the difference between the DNA and the chromatin? That means the single DNA or the one DNA coiled together each other, and it forms the chromatin like structure and looks like this. That means one chromatin, you can say that one chromatin contains one DNA. So that means at this phase, that is, there are 23 DNA are present. So that means the 23 chromatins are present. So in our cell, for example, in the animal cell, the 23 DNA are present, and this is called as the chromatin in the gap 1 phase. Okay. So now in the S phase, the DNA is synthesized. So that means another DNA, that means in that chromosome one DNA is present, and it called together to form this like structure that is called as the chromatin. So in the S phase, one chromosome or the one DNA replicates, and now two DNA are formed. So that means one chromosome again called together to form the chromatin. So now this DNA also called together, and now it forms like this. That means the two chromatins here, two chromatins are formed here. That means in the S phase. So that means in the S phase, two chromatins are present, and now these two chromatins are joined, and it looks like this. So that means this is the first one, this is the second chromatin, they are joined together to form in the S phase. So now this one is called as the sister chromatid to each other. That means this one is called as the chromatid, this one is also called as the chromatid, and these two chromatids are also called as the sister chromatid to each other. So that means during the S phase, the chromatin looks like this. That means in the G1 phase, the chromatin looks like this. That means in that one DNA is present, and from the one DNA it forms one chromatin, and at the middle it is called as the centromere. In the S phase, because the DNA is synthesized, that means the DNA replication occurs. That means from one DNA, two DNA are formed, and from the two DNA, obviously two chromatins are formed, and two chromatins are again joined together. So now each one is called as the chromatids. This is the one chromatid, this is the another chromatid, and they are called as the sister chromatids. So that means the chromatin in the S phase, it looks like this, but the chromatin look in the G1 looks like this. And what is the difference between the chromatin present in the gap 1 and the S phase? In the gap 1, the chromatin contains one DNA, but in the S phase, the chromatin contains two DNA. So that means in the cell, for example, in the human cell, at the gap 1 phase, there is the 23 DNA are present, but in the S phase, 23 chromatins are present. 23 chromatins are present, but the DNA are now the 46 DNA. But here the 23 chromatins are present, and the 23 DNA are present, and the structure looks like this. But in the S phase, the chromatin, same number of the chromatin, that means the 23 chromatins, but the 46 DNA, that means the DNA number doubles. So two chromatids are formed, and each are called as the chromatids or the sister chromatids. So in the gap 2 phase, again the same like structure as present here, but in the division phase, the same like structure are present. Look at this structure, this one, and this one. What is the difference between this structure and this structure and this structure? So during the interphase, that means in the S phase and the gap 2 phase, same chromatin structure are present, but this chromatin is present in the thin structure or decondensed structure. But in the M phase or during the division phase, now it is the very thick. So it is also called as the thick or condensed. So this is the difference between the chromatin and the chromosome, and because this thick or the condensed structure of the chromosomes are present, so condensed chromatin are present, now you can say that this is the chromosome. So that means the chromosomes are actually the chromatins, but they are present in the thick or the condensed structure, and now it is called as the chromosome. So that means this is the chromatin, that means the one chromatin contains one DNA. At the S phase and the gap 2 phase, this is also called as the chromatin, but it contains 2 DNA, and these chromatins are present in the very thin, or it is called as the decondensed manner. But after going to the M phase, it is very thick, and it becomes very thick or the condensed structure, and now this is called as the chromosome. So that means what is the difference between the chromosome and the chromatin? The chromosome is the thick and the condensed structure that is present during the M phase, but the chromatin is the structure that is the thin and the decondensed structure that is present in the interphase. And what is the DNA? DNA forms the chromosome. One chromatin, the one DNA forms one chromatin in the gap 1 phase, and in the S phase, because 2 DNA are formed, so one same chromatin, it contains 2 DNA, one contains, or it is called as the chromatids or sister chromatids. So the 2 sister chromatids are formed in the one chromatin, and here also same structure. That means here also one, you can say that now it is the one chromosome, but it contains 2 DNA. This is this one, and this is the another one. This is the one chromatid, this is the another chromatid. These 2 chromatids are called as the sister chromatid. So this is the difference between the chromosome and the chromatin and the DNA. So this is the all about the difference between the chromosome, chromatin and the DNA.